What up, peeps? It's your super sketch artist, Antonio, back, and it is time to run it back. Now, this time, I've decided that I was a little bit Marvel heavy, so from here on out, I'm gonna go Marvel DC, Marvel DC, Marvel DC. So since I did a Marvel last time, I'm going to do one of my favorite characters from the comics and a character that I hope to see in the upcoming Lantern Legacy set, and that is none other than Sodam Yat. Now, if you did not get to play in the War of Light set, I, I I feel for you just because this was such a great set. This was just an amazing set and one of the highest like points of attendance in Heroclix history. Ask anyone who was around during this time and they'll tell you they had more people showing up on a weekly basis for War of Light or a monthly basis for War of Light than probably any other event in the history of the game. And War of Light gave you so much, and it gave you pieces like this figure who is simply an uncommon. Now, if you look at this sculpt, this looks in today's, I mean, the sculpt is small by today's scale, but this looks like essentially maybe a rare or a even a super rare by today's standards sculpt. And this was an uncommon. So again, War of Light was just on a whole nother level. I absolutely love this piece because this was an unclicked figure and has not been clicked again since. So again, I hope to see him in the Lantern Legacy set or as an actual Legacy figure. With that being said, let's run it back with him. So Sodam Yat starts off at a whopping 250 points. It makes me realize that a lot of the people now, when I talk to people online, they're like, oh, but I want something that's under 75 or 80 points. I'm like, y'all wouldn't have made it in Heroclix back in the day. This was 250 points, and all you could probably fit was like a Green Lantern recruit, which I think was around like 50 points. On top of that, it was hard to fit two really good pieces on teams sometimes. He also has a 125 point line, and um, most people never really played him at the 125 point. If you pull Sodam Yat, you were going to play him at the 250. Why? Because he has not one, not two, but three stop clicks. They weren't called stop clicks back in the day. What he had a special defensive power that said, when this click is revealed due to damage taken, stop turning the dial. Sodam Yat can use Impervious and Quintessence, which was the DC equivalent of what we now call Cosmic Energy. We've gotten rid of the Q, and we've gotten rid of the Galactus head. So now it's just Cosmic Energy. Sodam Yat can't be healed, and this power can't be ignored, which would probably be like maybe protected pulse wave. We'll get to that in just a second. And he can't be healed. And now him saying you can't be healed, not only was that to just make sure that the game ended with you potentially getting points, but also because it's comic accurate. In the comic that he shows, like his finest moment, Sodam Yat, that is, he fights Superboy Prime one-on-one, which was a feat. Superboy Prime defeated like a whole legion of Green Lanterns by himself. And it took a whole legion of Green Lanterns to imprison him once he actually did get captured. That whole story was amazing. If you haven't read it, go read some Green Lantern and go read some. I think that was War of Light. I think so. Yeah, it was War of Light that him and Green Lantern fought, or him and Superboy Prime fought. So him not being able to get healed is comic accurate. With that being the case, he also only has the Green Lantern keyword. He has another trait that says if he's at 125 points when he is KO, when he crosses his red KO line. If he was 250 points, he isn't KO'd if he crosses the red KO line. Stuff like this nowadays with the point values that we have and everything like that. That was a big thing. You know, it wasn't a lot of people who had these mixed dials or dual dials all the time, so they had to specify sometimes, especially with a big point character, because some people will think, oh, 125 points, I can just run him at the hypersonic, which was the best power. It still is the best power, but definitely was the best power at that time. If you had a hypersonic, you had an advantage 1000%. He sees through stealth or sees through hindering, which essentially is stealth. And he also has 7 range, which is huge in today's game. Even by those standards, back in the day, he still had a good range, but now today, that is godly. He also has a damage power that says Sodam Yat can use willpower, and all the Green Lantern, not all, but a good portion of the Green Lanterns had this kind of power, which is they could use willpower when an opposing character targets Sodam Yat with Outwit or Perplex. Roll a d6. On the result of 4 through 6, ignore that effect. So let's run him back. So first off, let's talk about these keywords. So the keywords, him only having Green Lantern, while today that would give him access to the broadsword, which can give him +1 to his defense and give him Blaze Claw's Fangs, which I think is great. We also know that the rings are going to come back for the Lantern Legacy, so that just gives him access to more gadgets. But Green Lantern by itself is not enough, because he is a Daxamite. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some keywords from not only other Green Lanterns, but the actual race that he's from. We got the Daxamites in the Masters of Time set, and they have a keyword which is Cosmic. He is a Cosmic Police character, and the last few Lanterns that we had, going all the way back to, say, like the Hal Jordan Super Rare from Wonder Woman 80, has the Cosmic keyword. Also has another keyword that I would give him, which is Police, because the Green Lantern are Cosmic Police. That is what their job is, to police a sector of the universe. He also would need the Herald keyword, because not only because all the Green Lanterns essentially any of them could essentially be the Herald of Ion, but he physically became the Herald of Ion, and we'll get into that in a moment. So first things first, what I would do is I would take his damage power and I would actually make that a trait. I would get rid of the Destined for Power, and I would just make that trait called willpower, and I would have it be exactly how it is written for his damage power. He can use willpower when an opposing character targets him with Outwit or Perplex. Roll 4 through 6. He ignores the effect to show, like, I'm not falling for that. I think Lanterns should probably have that, because that's their whole thing, is overcoming fear and different things. I get it, and it still gives them some vulnerability to it, but they at least get to roll for it. So that's what the first things first. I would make that a trait. Fantastic. I would also add to that trait one last line. If he is on, if Sodam Yat is on an outdoor map, he can reduce penetrating damage. We've seen a Superman that can do this, and if you didn't know, Daxamites are the cousins essentially of Kryptonians. So when they're under the yellow sun, they become a Superman. So I would say if he's outside, then make him just reduce penetrating. I was essentially going to try to buff up his, at first I thought like maybe give him +1 stats. Yeah, that'd be good, because he does get stronger as he's outside and he can see the sun. But just reducing penetrating damage helps a lot. And what it does, it doesn't make it so that when he gets eventually to a stop clicks, he would end up having like a 13-5 with a 20 defense, which is just bonkers. So we don't want to make him too crazy. Also, what I would do is on his stop clicks, because we've seen multiple characters now just in the Smash and Destroy set. There's 2 characters that got legacy card that have multiple stop clicks, one after another. So what I would do is I would change that defensive power from what it is now to saying stop. Sodam Yat can use Impervious and Cosmic Energy, and he can't be healed and protected Pulse Wave. So you can't Pulse Wave him through it. Trick arrows exist, so you can easily just blow people past their stop clicks if you hit them right. But if he's on an outdoor map, which a lot of maps are, if he's on outdoor maps, then that Impervious then allows him to reduce penetrating damage, which again gives him an air of just power, and you can't outwit him generally. And on top of that, it just it makes him feel stronger, which is what I want to do, because Sodam Yat actually is a very, very powerful Green Lantern. So now we would have to talk about his damage power on the first 4 clicks. Again, originally it had that willpower, but that's not enough. Again, him being a Daxamite, I feel like whenever you give a character that's already supposed to be powerful, you give them a power up, it should make them even more powerful. So what I would say is, I would call his damage power of a Daxamite, and I would give him close combat expert and range combat expert. Now I know that is making him very, very strong. So now he would be like a 12-5 with super strength. Yum, that's great. But like most characters that were around back in those days, his values drop after literally one hit of three damage. That if he takes 3 clicks or even 2 clicks, even 1 click, after 1 click he goes down to a 10 attack, 3 damage. So if you're gonna have map choices important with any Heroclix game, but especially with a character, the way that I would run him back is to make him stronger on an outdoor map. That makes it more advantageous for your opponent to want to put him indoors so that you can blow through that invulnerability and everything like that. Again, I'm automatically going to say his defense would be +1 because of access to the broadsword. We don't know what's coming. We know the constructs are coming. We just don't know what they do and what they will be, how accessible they are, but we know they're coming and they're going to do something cool. So him and the super rare Green Lantern from Masters of Time, I can't wait to play those. That piece with all this new stuff and all the lanterns that are coming out. I can't wait for Lantern Legacy. But that is what I would give him. I would give him close combat expert and range combat expert. So if he wanted to sit back and just hit you with that ring, he could. But if he wanted to get up and close, and him having 11 movement means he can charge that good 6 squares, which is really, really good in today's game. 10 movement is good in today's game, but 11 movement is very, very, very god tier to me. So we have the damage power, we have the defensive power. Now the main thing about Sodam Yat is this point value. Again, 250 points is just not going to cut it in today's game. And even 125 points is just way too much for a lot of people. Unfortunately, it is what it is. That's where the game is. So what I would do, I was looking at the last Green Lantern that was made, which was Hal Jordan. He was 70 points and he had probability control. And he couldn't even do half of what this Sodam Yat has the ability to do just by him being himself. So what I would do, another thing Sodam Yat also needs is he needs the Green Lantern, and I would actually give him the PD team ability. I think all Green Lanterns actually should have the PD team ability because they are police. They are police. So I would give him the Green Lantern and I would give him the PD team ability as well. Not only just so he can carry, but also so that he can help his fellow Lanterns when they are trying to take down some of the big bads from range. So I would give him that, and I would make his point value on his first line a 75 point value. Again, you get +1 stats, or you get reduced penetrating, and you get the willpower, and you get some protection from Outwit and Perplex, which is every Heroclix worst enemy, and also you get those damage bumps and attack bumps on those first 4 clicks, which go right into just mainly range attack and damage bumps on his last 2 clicks that he gets right before he hits those stop clicks, where it's just now raw numbers. So I would make him 75 points just for those clicks, and then I would add a 25 points for those last 3 stop clicks. And I know most people will say, "Oh, Antonio, that's so much for that's not even a lot for 3 stop clicks in a row, and one of them having 12, 19, 5, which is so good." The issue is we just got Wonder Man Legacy card, and Wonder Man for 50 points is absolutely amazing. And he can either be 25 points or 50 points, and he has 3 stop clicks in a row, and you pay that extra points just to be able to, have those 3 stop clicks, which he's amazing at for 50 points. So I think for 100 points for what he can do, being a taxi, having PD, having access to the ring, and having access to these good stats, being able to charge somebody and potentially hit for 7 damage, 12 for 7, that's pretty good for either 75 or especially 75, but really it's really good for 100 points, knowing that eventually you'll hit that 12-5 with the 19 impervious that can reduce penetration if you're on outdoors. So that is what I would do, and that is how I would run back this amazing, amazing Sodam Yat figure. With that being the case, what say you? What do you think? Do you like my, iterations that I did, the alterations that I did? What would you do with him? What lantern figure would you like to see ran back? I have some other figures. I have maybe like 4 or 5 figures lined up from like Marvel DC, Marvel DC. But leave your comments down below. I love to talk Heroclix with anyone that wants to talk with me, and I love just picking people's brain and hearing how they think about stuff. Like that's the funnest thing about Heroclix is just talking about sometimes the what if. And I would love for this figure to get a legacy card and to get a big point, drop. But that is how I would run him back. As always, it is your super sketch artist Antonio. Be good to yourself. Be good to others. Go be super.